It's time to take your business to the next level, the boss level. These are the premier business owner strategies and successes being utilized by the industry's top talent today. Rock your business like a boss, a VO boss. Now let's welcome your host, Ann Ganguza.
Hey everyone, welcome to the VO Boss Podcast and the Boss Business Superpower Series. I'm your host, Ann Ganguza, and I'm here with my bossy co-host, Lau and I.
Hey, Ann. How are ya?
I'm awesome, Lau. How are you?
Good. Fantastic.
Lau, we had the most amazing Audition Demolition this past weekend. Woohoo!
It was super powered.
Yeah. I think we should chat about it.
Oh, let's go.
It was such a
I'm
success.
ready.
Yeah. Well, for those bosses who are unaware, we created a audition demolition workshop, which is very similar. We did it once before, Lau, but we added a couple of new twists to it. And essentially it was to mimic the casting process, the audition process. And so people could enter and they could choose to get feedback or not. They could audition and get feedback or audition and not get feedback through our Dropbox new application called Replay. And Lau and I were selecting a short list after that and ultimately did not announce the short list until the live show, which was this past weekend. And I think it was so exciting, Lau.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
It was great. It took a while, right? It took us time to get through it. It wasn't a quick deal. It took us, how long was the show? How long did it run?
A couple hours.
In?
It was a couple hours. And
right?
we had 10 people that we called back, just like in a real audition. And I was talking, Lau, about when I used to drive into LA. I would get notice from my agent that said, you've been called back and they want to hear you. I would drive. I would drive into LA and go to the studio. And I'd see, a lot of times I'd see my voiceover friends there. It was kind of nice. It was like a big party. But yet we were still auditioning. And so I was a little nervous. I think all of us had a little bit of nerves. But we would be called in one by one to read a script. And Lau and I tried to mimic that as much as possible during our weekend. And so people were not aware if they were on the short list until they got to the live show. And then we announced the short list one by one. It wasn't, we announced everybody on the short list at once. It basically like as if you were waiting in the studio lobby to be called into the studio to read. And so that's what we did. Everybody was surprised. And we had 10 people that we shortlisted. And we had them come in and guess what? The client changed the script. Now, we did that before, but that's typically what happens, right? You read an audition and then when you go in person to audition, they have a different script. That's almost always the case, I think. And so we changed the script on them. And I don't know, Lau, what were your thoughts?
I thought it went really well. I mean, surprisingly, I kind of thought to some degree many would fall apart with that and not know what was going on, and there would be mass confusion, and there would be fire and tornadoes and earthquakes, and Charlton Heston would come out of the booth, and then we would be eaten alive. Right? And then the sea would part. Right? I was like, oh, what are we doing inviting this? But no, seriously, we had some faith in these wonderful talent, and rightly so. They all came through. Everyone came through, I think, with flying colors. And we did. We're good actors, Ann. I mean, we made them sufficiently sweat a little bit, as if you would in a real live audition. You know, there was a little stress, a little tension in the air. I know people were nervous because I saw conversations beforehand flying around on email and in the chat. And I love that. I think that gave it that flavor of a real, it was a mock audition, but it was a real audition feel, which is something we wanted to mirror for the professional development and education of it.
Absolutely.
So that worked well. I thought that really worked well.
And I think that it's really good to get yourself practiced in a live situation where you're definitely feeling adrenaline, whether you're nervous in a good way or even a bad way, right? It really helps you to get seasoned and to figure out what you have to do to work out those nerves to really perform well. And I think that was a good experience for everybody that participated.
Great.
And I feel that, by the way, and so what we waited until the very beginning and we said, guess what? The client changed the script. And then we gave them the new script. So talent did not have a lot of time to prepare. As a matter of fact, I would say the first talent that we called up usually is the one at the disadvantage for this particular show, because typically we're not listening to each other audition. We're going in one by one, and it's a private thing, and we get private feedback. But this, because we wanted this to be an educational experience, we had an entire Zoom room full of people who didn't know if they made the audition and were listening to the feedback live, real time from both Lau and myself. And so that will happen a lot of times, Lau, right? In a real situation, you'll have more than one person giving you feedback. You'll have an engineer in there. You'll have a director. You might have a client. You might have more than one person that's offering you direction at the time. And they could have different ideas about the direction. Now, I think, Lau, you and I, we think fairly similarly, but there were some auditions where I wanted to hear something different than you did, or feedback that we gave was absolutely, I think, different in different spots. But I think overall, we were sticking to the casting specs that were laid out there, and that was very similar to a lot of casting specs. That is, make it authentic, make it real, make it make it conversational. So that's always a task, I think, for talent. And when they're just seeing the script for the first time, and even if we've been directing other people, they might be, oh my God, they might be preparing. They might not have listened to our feedback, right?
Yes. And that was the great part of having everyone in the room.
Yeah.
That would not happen in an audition most of the time, most anywhere. But we wanted that educational experience. We wanted people to observe each other's work and get the benefit of everyone's feedback, so that even if they were nervous and preparing, they could absorb some of what they were hearing before they went on. And I think that it was a blessing for people to kind of go later. And it was also a blessing for people to go first.
Oh, I agree.
You know, because it's a very different experience. I also wanted to bring up, too, our experience, Anne, of when we were commenting in the Dropbox and doing all of our feedback, that I heard in the session from a number of people and post via email thanking us that they felt that the feedback was so wonderful, so detailed, so necessary. And it was like a drink of nectar for a lot of people that said, I'd like to think what you said was authentic and real, and that it gave me time. It made me feel special. It made me feel like someone was paying attention to me. That status, casting, agency status, coaching status, and that I could walk away with some real tools, practice tools to work on. It wasn't just about, am I good, am I bad, am I right, am I wrong? It was much more about reminding me that I have a full process here and I can go in many different directions. And I'd like to think that you and I gave as much authentic feedback as we could rather than artificial feedback just for the sake of entertainment value.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. And I'm going to say that I think that what I loved about it is that the educational component that came into it with the feedback, and this is the feedback not just during the live show, this is the feedback via Dropbox. The really cool thing about Dropbox Replay and offering feedback, there's a lot of times you'll notice that you submit your auditions via Dropbox, and you always have to be careful how you name them, and there's lots of criteria when you upload an audition. The cool thing about being able to offer feedback for all the people that requested it is that we were able to give feedback along a timeline. And so if there was a particular passage that they did well, or a particular passage where they maybe lost their authenticity, or we had a critique, we could specify it at the specific time that it happened. And that's something that you don't always get in a real audition. As a matter of fact, usually in an audition, you'll go in and read, and it's very rare that they'll offer feedback. They might give you a set of direction to do it again. It may not offer as much verbose feedback as we did during the session. And you're kind of left with, okay, I hope I did good. And so, I'm always walking out of the room going, well, I think they liked me. I hope they liked me. I hope I nailed it. And a lot of times they will give some generic, thank you so much. Sometimes they won't say a word. They'll just say, okay, thank you. And you'll walk out that door going, gosh, I hope I nailed it. Which is what I love about the Audition Demolition, is that we were able to really go beyond that and really act as like, okay, here's what we would offer you feedback for the educational component. And then when we made our decision, Lau, about. This is what I loved. We muted ourselves because a lot of times we're there live in a studio or we're in a Zoom session and we are being directed. And then all of a sudden they're going to mute and they're going to talk and we can see them talking behind the glass. And you're like, okay, did they like that? What are they talking about? And, maybe they're talking about lunch. We don't know. Maybe they're talking about my performance. Was it good? Was it bad? Oh, my God. What are they going to tell me next? And then they'll say, okay, thank you. We're done. But I liked our mimicking of that.
And there was a funny moment, though. You can't forget to share that hilarious moment where we had talked about giving each other a call, a cell phone call, so that we could have this sort of intercom system between the two of us in case we want to bring up some details to each other or just remind each other about certain cues. I totally forgot, and it was about a quarter of the way through, and I said, oh, wow, I got to call Anne. And I called Anne, and I said, Anne, listen, because one person didn't show up, I said, do you want to have another callback since we have an open slot? And she's like, Lau, everyone can hear you right now. Can everyone hear Lau? And they're like, and I'm like, that's okay. They'll learn from it. It's good for them.
There you go. And here's the deal. In a real situation, right? If you don't show up to that casting call, that's it. You snooze, you lose, you're out. And they may make a decision at the last minute to call more people, or they need to hear more people, or maybe they didn't get what they needed from the first audition. Gosh, that goes on all the time, right, Lau?
All the time.
They recast it because they didn't really get what they wanted. So we did that too, which I love. It threw a wrench in it because everybody that was shortlisted thought that was it. And then all of a sudden we had a discussion. We said we'd like to call back. Actually, we were going to call back 2 people, but we ended up calling back one other person, which again added that element of surprise, which again hypes up the adrenaline and the nerves. And so I think, again, this audition demolition, Lau, we can do this like regularly because I think it's a skill that every voice artist should have in their toolbox to be able to be prepared on the fly, work through those nerves and just perform and get that gig and be able to take direction well.
Right. And no matter how we slice it, of course, we're always about process. We're process-oriented people. But there is a product. There is a gig at stake. And in this contest, we had prizes. We had some swag.
Cold hard cash.
We had it going on. People were really fighting and clawing for the real deal. It wasn't just, oh, you won, congratulations. It was, let's actually reward you with something real world that you can enjoy, right? And people love that. I think people love that.
I mean, who doesn't love cash? Who doesn't love cash? I mean, that just is, that's an investment in your business, right? So invest in the Audition Demolition and you can win cash and or swag. And so I'm extremely excited to have offered that.
I want to ask, what were some auditions that really stuck out for you and why did they stick out for you? I mean, even in the larger pool, not just the short list, but even in the larger pool, there were so many unique people, very diverse talent, very across the board. No 2 people were the same. What were some of the more memorable people and performances that your audience can learn from today?
Well, first and foremost, understanding that I'm going to be casting for a particular job and a particular company, which this happened to be the University of Phoenix. I had a demographic in mind that I want to advertise to, and I had a sound in my head that I thought would be a good representative of this particular company or university that would be able to sell effectively. And I think that every casting director has an idea in their head as to what kind of a voice they're looking for, which usually ends up in the specs, but sometimes they change their mind when somebody gets creative or maybe interprets the script in a little bit of a different way. And it was always those auditions that stood out to me, the ones that it wasn't like the song that I heard in my head, right? We were asking for authentic, we were asking for conversational, and those people that could really come into the first few words that sounded like they had a story, they had a person they were talking to. Those were the ones that perked up my ears. And of course, those that had a very different sound as well. I mean, I will say, I can't say that your sound doesn't come into play here because again, we're hiring people based upon how we think they're going to effectively sell our product.
Right.
What about
Right.
you, Lau?
I would agree. And I made a concerted effort to come in with a very open mind and play the producer who has not as much idea of what I'm actually looking for. I just know, I know the product, I know the school, I know the program, I've seen their advertising campaigns. I get that.
Yeah.
But I want to keep an open mind because I'm not exactly sure which direction I want to go in.
Yeah.
Age-wise, diversity factor, accent-wise. And I'm glad I did that because everyone was so different and so unique. I would have been let down only in the sense that I would have been looking for that needle in a haystack versus
absolutely.
looking at the whole haystack. And because we did that, our shortlist was so diverse.
Oh, it
there were
was.
no two people who were
Absolutely.
alike, right? You'd say, was there even a breakdown involved with this because it was so large?
And that's what's so cool. What I love about what you just said was I said, okay, I had an idea in mind, right? I know the demographic, I know the product, and I know the type of sound that I'm looking for. And that's what I'm going to put in the casting specs. However, you're absolutely right. By being open-minded and hearing a bunch of different voices, then I started to think, well, okay, for this campaign, I like this voice because of this factor. I like this voice because that's the one I originally thought would be a really great choice for selling. But now I can see that this other voice, which may not have been anywhere like I thought, right, would really be effective in helping to sell my product as a casting director. So yes, keeping an open mind and understanding, guys, that even though the casting specs may call for something, right, if you bring something unique to the read, you bring yourself, you bring that personality, you bring something that just makes us go, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. It really is a wonderful testament to literally your voice. It could be any voice, right? It doesn't have to be a particular sound. It doesn't have to be a particular style. It can be you. It can be what you bring to the read, and that can sway a casting director's choice, which is amazing, right? It's wonderful. It's hopeful, and it makes you feel like, all right, well, then I still am going to give my best, right? Well, if you're looking at the casting specs, you're like, I don't know, I'm probably not going to get it. I mean, no, don't feel that way at all because we were surprised.
Very.
And actually, even in our decisions, right, in terms of who were we going to cast when it came down to it, right? We were going back and forth between a couple of different voices. And I think that, well, let's keep these guys on hold or on callback, or who else would be great for this campaign? There were multiple choices.
Yeah, and I was playing tricks in my head saying, ooh, I can't wait to see who's going to win this thing because I have no idea right now. Literally, throughout the whole thing, I literally could not figure out who was going to win and who was going to book the gig. And I think that's very true and very accurate to the casting process. Many times it comes right down to the wire where everyone is disagreeing on a talent or maybe they need to bring in another talent.
Oh, yeah, and you and I did that. We weren't necessarily disagreeing, but we were going back and forth about we wanted to narrow it down. And it was tough for us to narrow down those choices because we each had our own independent, we had our favorites, and we had people that we thought were best suited for the campaign. I'm glad that we were able to, obviously, we awarded the gig to one person, and that's a congratulations to Joshua Goodman. And then we awarded 2 runners-up because that was something that we thought, we're going to keep you on our short list for perhaps the next campaign. And that was Pat Kennedy was one of our alternates and Jinder McIntosh. So congratulations to everybody. And really congratulations to everyone who auditioned. I mean, I was so impressed with the professionalism and the talent that we heard, and I'm excited to do this again. And I'm excited about changing up the scripts, the genre, right? And changing up the scripts and having even more people audition for this. So I think it was a real success. I don't know, Lau, what are you excited about for what's up next?
Well, I'll tell you one piece of excitement, and I don't like to say this at the top. It's what we call meta-theatrical. It's a reality within a reality within a reality. But the truth is, this was not a mock audition. When I looked at this, and I'm sure you were thinking this too in regards to recommending clients for projects that you're a part of, I am always looking for new talent.
Oh, yeah.
So there will be people that I'm going to reach out to for MCVO contracts. We don't say that.
And I'll be referring people because it becomes a top of mind. I know who my talents are.
Top of mind, yeah.
And I'll be casting for projects as well.
Right.
While I'm not a talent agent like yourself, I do have a number of clients that I help cast for. And I actually have a couple of rosters that I place, people that I recommend I place them for jobs. And
So the truth is like it's a mock audition for educational purposes, but there's a subtext of reality that whenever you're in front of working people in the industry, they're always going to be thinking about you for potential work.
Yeah,
how do you
absolutely.
put someone like us in front of some of these people and say, don't look at them for work? Just look at them as a student. It's not possible because they're working people. They're working professionals. So we want to give educational value, lots of educational value and development, but we also want to potentially find new people we can be working with.
Awesome talent.
No question.
What's there to lose for auditioning, right? So our next Audition Demolition, and again, by the time this airs, it may have passed already, but I really think talking about our experiences with the first one, I think it ran smoother than I even thought. And so I'm really excited to continue this on a regular basis because I think it's just so educational. And as bosses, we're all about the education. I'm all about providing a great resource. That's what we do here at the VO Boss Podcast. And we're here to help. We're here to hopefully give you some advice and tips along your journey in this crazy voiceover industry that we all love so much. And hey, what can I say?
I think it's fantastic. And I want to be clear to those who have no idea what we're talking about and want to get involved with it, that you're getting literally hours worth of feedback. Not just a quick, that was great and you're done. You're getting all the written feedback first
Plus.
in our Dropbox. Plus, you're going to show up on the contest day in real-time live, and you're going to get all sorts of feedback. You're going to hear everyone else's feedback. You're going to get to observe and steal and absorb everyone else's. Then you'll get your own feedback.
So it's double feedback.
Endless feedback.
It's like double feedback. It's more than if you just go to one session because you're getting
much more
the written feedback from both Lau and myself, whether you make the short list or not. And during the class, you're going to have the exposure to finding out if you're on the short list. And even if you don't make the short list, you get to watch the others perform and be redirected and get that education as well. So, I mean, gosh, the value, I'm just saying, the value is incredible, guys.
It's massive. It's huge. I mean, I don't know any other circumstance that offers that kind of thing.
I don't either. And who offers cash? Who offers cash as a prize?
In the amount of time that we're dealing with, a compressed
saying.
amount of time, right?
Right? You can win back your money plus some. Win back your investment and some and have fun doing it and be top of mind for those people that may be able to help cast you in further roles. So...
And do you have a couple quick tips? I love tips. A couple quick tips for the next round of talent who are like, I have to do this. I got to get in on this. Or the round that just came through. I know a lot of them are already talking about coming back. They want to have another go of it. They want to be challenged again. Let's talk about quickly a couple tips that we can offer them when they come back when they're coming in for the first time.
Well, I'm going to say, first and foremost, do your research on the script. Do some analysis before you run into your studio and just read it as if this is the way you think it should sound. I really think you've got to spend a few moments, and if you can, Google the product, Google the company, find out like who their demographic is, find out if they've had other campaigns, take a look at those campaigns, see what their style is, what their brand is, what their mission statement is. And I think all of that information can help you to voice for that company better. And also make sure that you are, after the analysis, that you really look at it as an actor. And I know you're going to probably expound on this one, but I want you to really look on that script as an actor. You're not going to probably get a storyboard with it. And so you have to try to imagine what's happening in the scene. Always know who you are and who you're talking to. And really put yourself in a scene so that you are authentically in it, telling a story. We're all storytellers, right? We have to tell the story. We have to engage the listener into a believable, authentic performance. And Lau, I'm sure you're going to go off on that one.
Oh, my gosh. I second that.
Yeah.
I third that. I also don't want you to lose that fun factor because there is a tremendous fun factor to not just voicing the copy, but also being with people in a room. When you're with people in a room, I know it's scary, it's nerve-wracking, you don't know who everyone is, but I want you to enjoy, like really relish the moments and have a little bit of personalization as you. So some of the time when you were giving a direction, Anne, or we gave an adjustment, or we were just greeting people. There were some people that stuck out in my mind as being very memorable because they had that mix of business acumen with warmth and fun, and they smiled a lot. There was one talent. His teeth were so white, I couldn't stop looking at them. He just smiled the whole time because we were visually in a room seeing each other. We weren't just hearing each other audio-wise. But all of that counts for something.
It does, yeah.
So that I know, okay, this talent knows how to smile on a lot of commercial reads. This person knows how to be a warm, engaging person. So if they're dealing with our clients, they're going to be that way. Like there's a lot of
Good
reasons.
Point. Excellent
right?
point. Mm-hmm.
Right? We have to enjoy, let go, be social a little bit, be personable. We're not going to waste time. We're not getting into huge conversations. It's not a party, but it is a real-time engagement of real people. And those people stick in my mind.
And relationships do matter. I mean, it's one of those things that, like you said, it's not a party that you're going to be talking the director's ear off, but you certainly have to have a little bit of a personality and have a little bit of joy and a little bit of, definitely a lot of professionalism, but also let us see a little bit about who you are. And that will help us to understand what you can bring to the table. Absolutely. And that's within your interactions when we're giving you direction and feedback. All of that comes out. So, yeah, good advice.
I'm going to throw in another one and say it's really important to warm up. We wouldn't know for sure because we weren't asking this question, but I would suspect there were a few people who are not quite as warmed up as they could have been, mainly because they were stumbling a lot. They were going back on lines. They weren't breathing well. They were holding the breath. And I do think a lot of that is just
Could be nerves,
real time. But take the time. Even if it's an hour, sit in your booth or take the time to stretch, drink water, breathe the air, go over your lines, feel them through, personalize them so that it isn't just about getting the script right or I got to get through this and sound good. It's about how do I feel? You and I talked a lot about like the person that you're being and talking to is this real person. Even though it had a little bit of a corporate boxy language to it, it's real. They're real people. So you got to do that in your warm-up. You have to incorporate that all in your warm-up. You can't warm up or come in and you're colder and then you're warming up as you audition. I never recommend that. I think you should come in fully engaged.
Yes, absolutely.
Full throttle, fully warmed up and get ready to go. I think that was the difference. That was one of the big differences between the people who are a little bit on a higher level and people who are coming into it kind of feeling it out.
Yeah, and absolutely, when you're hearing direction and feedback as well, if you've got that pencil and you've got the script or your pad, your iPad, whatever it is, to make some notes. Because I know in the heat of the moment sometimes when you're getting direction and feedback and they ask for another read, sometimes they give a lot of things. Okay, and then over here, I'd like you to lighten up here. And who are you talking to? And I feel like if you needed to make some quick notes, make sure that you have the ability to do that. So,
I love that. I even say, with a prop, if you're dealing with a prop and you like a prop and a prop works for you, make it a prop that counts. Make it something that is meaningful to you. The first thing that came to my mind was if I'm dealing with the University of Phoenix Read, and if you watch the advertising campaigns, traditionally, they're pretty heartful. There's a warmth and a thoughtfulness to it. It would be great to have what the diploma looks like in front of you or what a graduate looks like in front of you or what personally, so that you can see how meaningful that is to someone that is going to change their whole life. That piece of paper is going to change their whole life, potentially. And just bringing that in with you can change your whole delivery versus let me just get the first line right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And like I said, I think that research and maybe looking at other commercials that they've done or other work that they've put out there to their potential clients, absolutely. That can really make a difference. So, wow, good
I'm
stuff.
excited.
I can't wait for the next one.
I can't wait.
Bosses,
it's going to be so much fun.
Stay tuned. We will have the next dates on the VO Boss website, voboss.com. The events should be right there on the front page. And so we are looking forward to having all of you come and audition for us and take advantage of the Audition Demolition. And Lau, thank you so much, as usual, for another amazing discussion. Awesome. Bosses, here's a chance to use your voice to make an immediate difference talents in our world and give back to the communities that give to you. Visit 100voiceswhocare.org to commit. And a big shout out to our sponsor, IPDTL. You too can network and connect like a boss. Find out more at ipdtl.com. Bosses, have an amazing week, and we will see you at the next VO Boss Audition Demolition. Yeah.
See you then.
Woohoo! Bye!
Ooh.
Join us next week for another edition of VO Boss with your host, Ann Ganguza. And take your business to the next level. Sign up for our mailing list at voboss.com and receive exclusive content, industry revolutionizing tips and strategies, and new ways to rock your business like a boss. Redistribution with permission, coast-to-coast connectivity via IPDTL.
You really know your stuff.
I'd like somebody to say that to me. You really know your stuff. I want every session to be like, wow, that was amazing. Oh my gosh.
How about this one, Ann? Wait,
Bob, it's been years since we've had somebody this talented. It's been years.